starting it. I want to get this this thing on
Wait a second.
lockdown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
You heard it here first, folks. Coming soon to own on video and DVDs. World War III. Daddy Trump just dropped bombs on Syria, and in other words, it's happening.
The first move of the war, first move of World War III.
It's happening.
Well, I guess technically the first move of the war could be considered the Syrian gas attacks.
Yeah,
By,
and more Syrian gas attacks.
Followed by more Syrian. Well, if you want to go back to 2017, I guess it would be the gas attack, followed by Tomahawk cruise missiles, followed by another gas attack, followed by Israel's bombing of the T4 airbase.
If you wanna talk about gas attacks, I mean, like my grandma is the person who commits those all the time.
Oh gosh. A nice wet queef.
Whoa. I'm not trying to get sexual. All right.
No, queefs would be considered sexual. I didn't know you.
Well, it has something to do with the vagina, and they only really happen during intercourse.
I don't like how this conversation is going.
I'm sorry. Hide your virgin ears, Daniel.
So basically, to sum up what has happened in about the past week, on April 7th, the Syrian government began bombing the rebel-held town of Douma, and around that same time, between April 7th and April 8th, those rebels got gassed. Over 1,000 people injured. I believe it's 60 people killed, 40 people, 60 people, somewhere around that. So since then, April 8th, Israel bombed a Syrian T4 airbase with 2 F-15s that fired missiles over Lebanon that flew all the way towards Ham and struck the airbase, killed 7 Iranians. And rumor has it that the Russians, after the Tomahawk cruise missile strike back in February of 2017, installed anti-air defenses in Syria. But whenever the Israeli F-15s fired their missiles, the Russian air defenses failed to go off and failed to prevent the missile attack. Since then, let me try it. If I can remember how to go in order here. The Russians have placed warships in the Mediterranean, and China has sent a warship to aid them in the Mediterranean. They have jammed drones. Russia has jammed drones over Syria, U.S. drones over Syria. They have been flying more Su-34Ms and Su-35Ms over Syria, conducting just flight missions over Syria. The rebels have pulled out of Douma and gone back towards Turkish-held ground up in northern Syria. We've been flying P-8 Poseidons over the Mediterranean just to keep a watch on the Russians and the Chinese. And different leaders from around the world have spoken out. France, who does have troops on the ground in Syria, has said that they would be all for a coalition with the United States, as well as the UK. Saudi Arabia said that Syria must be given some sort of consequence for using gas. Iran, however, says that Israel must pay for its strike on Syria and for killing 7 Iranian soldiers. Some people say that Israel did it because of the gassings, which I wouldn't blame them. After losing 6 million Jews to gas, I don't blame them. But it has been confirmed by Netanyahu himself when he was talking on the phone to Putin that he did it because he does not Iran to have a military presence in Syria, as well as the fact that Hezbollah has been known to utilize that airbase when conducting strikes against Israel. I can't really blame Israel, however. It would have been nice to have a heads up, seeing as whenever Israel did the strike, Russia thought the U.S. bombed the airbase and scrambled suck jets to attack our warships, and luckily we caught them and said, hey, no, that wasn't us. So as it stands right now, Russia has sent more anti-air defenses to Syria, and we just bombed it as of, what, 10:06?
Yes, and 11 minutes ago, the Pentagon reported that they did not coordinate that attack with the Russians. So, they weren't aware of it whenever we were firing those missiles. Also, Mattis says that this is going to be a one-time shot, hopefully, or in hopes of Assad running away, or understanding that this is a message and he needs to stop what he's doing. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and China has said that they really don't want to pick a side right now, but if it does come down to war, they will be supporting the Russians in the war, as they have kind of already done by sending a warship to the Mediterranean. And I find it interesting because I didn't know this until recently, but both China and the U.S. in the South China Sea, they haven't really been fighting.
Mm-hmm.
There is a dispute over some islands there, apparently, but both China and the U.S. have just been sort of putting warships in the South China Sea and conducting war games just to sort of show off to each other. So it will be interesting to see what happens if this does actually kick off a war, to see where China will go.
So a little bit more information on the strikes, which it's probably a given, but the U.S. strikes were targeted towards Hezbollah headquarters in Qusair, however you pronounce that, countryside of Homs.
Okay, so they're not attacking the Syrian, any Syrian military.
No, it's it is a warning shot, basically.
But unless, of course, it is a case of Hezbollah HQ is a Syrian military base, sort of like how we bombed a Syrian airbase and killed no Syrians, but killed Iranians who have been known to arm Hezbollah, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Also, 30 minutes ago, CNN reported explosions in Aleppo.
Oh, that's
What
nice.
is Aleppo?
If you haven't seen it already, go to Syrian Civil War map.
That's what I'm on.
Yeah, I'm just and any listeners or viewers out there, go to SyrianCivilWar.com if you don't know a whole lot about what's going on. It does a good job of showing you. It's not, I don't think it's exact, where strikes happen and, where territories are at, but it does just a good idea of, it's just a good way of showing you just how many factions there are in the Middle East and how crazy it is. Because you've got so many warring factions and, some are on one side, some are on another. It honestly seems like there's three sides in Syria right now. The pro-government, the anti-government, and then whatever the hell the Turks are doing there. It seems like all the Turks are there for is just kill the Kurds. It's almost like they don't want any part in what Syria's got going on. They just want to kill the Kurds.
6 hours ago, a pro-ISIS hacking group called itself Ingimasat Dawalai Team posts infographics detailing 6 months of operations, claims to have created and hacked several hundred Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Of course they did.
You go, guys.
Now, Sean and I have talked about this before. I made a Facebook post about this. War isn't really the best thing for Syria.
Not at all.
Is it? So, the United States finds itself in the uncomfortable position of having to be the police of the world, being because, and you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay, my monitor shut off and I was freaking out. Because, you know, my PC overheats like it always should with every PC. Anyways, so the United States finds itself in this uncomfortable position of being the police of the world, because we are, and I found this out today, and it was a term coined specifically because of the US, we are a hyperpower. And that means we've surpassed all expectations of a superpower in military, in culture, in economics, everything. So we're a hyperpower. And you know, and again, we're pretty much the only superpower or hyperpower, if you want to use that term, because we're the only country in all of history to have a warship in every ocean. We're the only country to have working fifth generation stealth fighters, mind you, in vast numbers, you know, that aren't prototypes like Russia or China, you know, because all theirs are prototypes. But anyways, besides all that, we find ourselves being in this position of being the police of the world. So we feel like, well, we have to do something, and to the US, since its founding, that usually means war. But after seeing what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan and the war on terror, which I believe was justified because of 9/11, this doesn't feel too justified because it wasn't our people. Now, I'm not devaluing the lives of the innocent Syrian citizens, but what I am saying is if it's anything we've learned over the past 15 years fighting in the sandbox, it's that the people fare worse whenever we get involved in a land war. I paused in case you all had anything to say, because if not, I'm just going to keep rambling.
No, it's all good. I'm just scrolling around the map. Apparently, Uganda is accepting Israeli refugees. Uganda says it is positively considering Israel's request to... Oh, okay. My bad. Israel's request to allow 500 Eritrean and Sudanese refugees to relocate there. I was like... I read it wrong. I was like, what? Why would they want to go there?
So, throughout these past 15 years, fighting in the sandbox, we've seen kids get told to throw grenades at American tanks. We've seen families get murdered for speaking to American soldiers. We've seen women get used as human shields. And I feel like that would all be true for Syria if we got involved in a land war in Syria. You know, granted, in Afghanistan and Iraq, there were really only, you know, two sides, the terrorists and, you know, NATO, what you could roughly call NATO forces, you know, Canada, Britain, the US, Australia.
Take a look at that plane really quick,
France,
Brendan.
things like that. However, oh, that's a MiG, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
or it's
it says Su-24, yeah.
Yeah, Su-24. God damn, that thing looks rusted.
Well, coincidentally, about 3 months ago, Russia upgraded their Su-24Ms for nuclear capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing those there in Syria. I wonder if we're going to see any, I think they're called night hunters or night stalkers. I wonder if we're going to see any night stalker hinds. Let me try and find it real quick. Yeah, the Mi-28.
Those are the black looking hind?
Yeah, it's the Mi-28 NE Night Hunter.
MI-28 NE.
So, NE, yep. The N is the Russian one. The NE is the export version, but that got upgraded last year, I believe. Actually, no, it got upgraded in 2012. My bad. But it'll be interesting to see if we see any night hunters in Syria.
I think it's fucking deadly.
But so, difference, like, Afghanistan and Iraq, it was basically terrorists, be it Al-Qaeda or Taliban or ISIS or whoever, against these NATO forces. Well, it's going to be different in Syria because you'll basically have these terrorist groups or rebel groups, depending on how you view them, against NATO forces, against the Syrian and Chinese and Russian and their militaries. So it would be even worse. The best option here would be a diplomatic one, to put forth a motion in the UN to put embargoes and sanctions on Syria to cut it off from the outside world. That could still hurt the civilian population, but not as much as a land invasion would. If military action is warranted, then I think the best military action would be strategic strikes from the air, from the sea, to minimize collateral damage and civilian casualties, which so far, that's all we've seen from Israel, and the U.S. are airstrikes, which is good on them. But another thing to mention too, Sean, is according to local radio, Assad is running.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That was
Running.
like news, I think, like three days ago.
Yeah, running to the Syrian-Lebanon border, which people say that him and his government didn't cause the gas attacks. Why would he be running if he has nothing to hide?
Because there's a cruise missile coming for his head?
Yeah, but I mean, a Minuteman III can circumnavigate the globe in 30 minutes or less. So just because he drives 200 miles up the road doesn't mean it's not going to find him.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna just
You're
stay
gonna
put.
accept your fate because you gassed a bunch of
But we
innocent
haven't
people in an
heard
attempt
anything. We haven't heard anything from Assad. We really haven't. And the thing is, sure, okay. Last time it was confirmed, and this time it might not be confirmed. But what I have to ask you is that when the gas that was used, at least last time, this time there hasn't been a whole lot of data that came in. When the gas that was used last time was gas that was researched by the Russians throughout the Cold War, I mean, and the fact that the sources that people have given me, like, well, this proves that the government didn't do it. They confirmed it, and then you look at it and it says, on this date, done by Syrian helicopters, on this date done by Russian jets, on this date done by pro-government rebels. I don't see the evidence. There's more plausible evidence on the side that Assad did it. And the fact of the matter is it's not like he was gassing an entire group of civilians, because it was an anti-government rebel-held town.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he gassed it, he probably thought, well, this is for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may not have been his government, but it may have been the pro-government rebels that are doing it. And my question is, if it were the pro-government rebels last time, and it were the pro-government rebels this time, you think he would get the word out to tell them to stop. But we haven't heard anything from him. We haven't.
Hey, if the shit goes down, you remember that Poland ball meme where it has his dangling dick and his like Russia's gaping hole?
Yeah.
Like, when are we gonna get that Poland stealth tank into the mix? Like,
Oh, the PLO-1.
yeah, can we get the PLO-1 into this battle and just have them like fuck up those
I
Russian
just don't
tanks?
understand what they think is going to happen. Like,
Who?
the Russians and the Syrians and the Iranians. It's like, so like, the only thing we've heard from Assad, aside from we didn't do it, is we'll get the OCPW in there, and the OCPW are I believe that they're a chemical branch of the UN that go in and they look around and they check for they check for chemical weapons and any remnants of gas particles in the air and all this science stuff. At first, Russia was gonna let them do it, but only if all of the OCPWs that went were Russian, which is pretty shady if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But then they denied, and I'm not even kidding, they denied 6 different motions in a UN meeting to allow them. Because the UN said, no, we're not going to let you send, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, they put forth 12 different motions to try and protect Assad.
Yeah.
Which is also shady. I like to think that Russia wouldn't give 2 shits about Syria if it weren't for the fact that they have a naval base in Syria. And that's their only naval base outside of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Which, granted, sounds bad, but at the same time, Russia's so big that...
In the grand scheme of things, it's amazing how fast our relations with Russia went. Because, like, in the beginning, it was like, oh, Trump and Putin, they're all good friends. And then, Putin, you shouldn't have been playing in the sandbox. Now you got a bunch of poop bombs coming at you.
I mean, on one hand, I really hate to see it go this way and for us to lose our relations with Russia.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if we go to war with Russia, I'm not doing it because they're protecting Syria. I'm doing it because I'm doing that one for Ukraine.
Oh, Ukraine.
I'm writing on the side of the cruise missile. This one's from Ukraine because Ukraine is stuck in a war now, a never-ending hell because Russia decided to invade them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Ukraine should already be a part of Russia, but...
Do you really believe that?
No.
I was gonna say, like, finally we get an actual debate going on one of these streams. But
just a bunch of upside down litters. But honestly, this is just pure speculation, but poor fucking Alaska. I fucking hate to be an Alaskan right about now. I'd be scared shitless.
I got an Alaskan that goes to my church, and he's supposed to head back to Alaska sometime in the next couple months to get married. I'm probably gonna be like, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. They're gonna airdrop T-90s in Alaska.
When I was in the capital, there was this guy from Alaska visiting, and oh man, he was so nice. I'm gonna miss him.
He was telling me about Alaska and how like every other town they just cook meth. And that's what they do.
Well, that's
and
sad.
He was like, you know, there's this one town, I forget he said it's the town where they hold the Iditarod. He was like, you know, normal population is like 4,000, but then it jumps up to like 10,000 during the Iditarod, and you know, there's just brothels everywhere.
Jesus Christ!
And he said this small town. He said this small town, they only have 2 police officers on duty.
And they don't do shit.
and you know, one of them has to sleep sometimes, so really they only have 1 on duty, and if one of them's gonna do something, they have to go wake up the other one before they can go do it. I was like, he just told me the story of how they arrested this one prostitute because she got thrown out of the brothel because her handler got mad at her or something, and she was in a bra and like booty jean shorts, and it was like below, like 40 below, so she was gonna freeze to death.
Okay, now I don't care if Alaska gets fucking burned.
And the police officer knew her by name too. That's how many times she had been arrested.
I thought Alaska was pure, man. You had to ruin it for me.
But then he was telling another story about how in another town they had a guy who had literally murdered somebody, but they had no cops. So they didn't tell anybody that he murdered this person.
We have bases in Alaska, don't we?
Oh yeah, we got a shit ton of bases. We've got an Army Air Force joint base in Alaska.
I mean, they'd have to. I don't think they'd want to build two separate bases.
I've heard a crazy ass story. I've heard crazy ass stories before about being, an Army soldier stationed in Alaska.
All right, before you go into it, I just want to say about the speculation. You know the story of Fallout, right?
That's not what you think's gonna happen, is it?
No, but it's totally feasible. Like the story, like that's a decent story. Like we're not gonna fucking power armor, but like that's
Russians
like
invading
Russians going through Alaska and then going through the Yukon.
Fallout was the Chinese.
Yeah, but it's gonna be fucking Russian. The fucking Chinese are gonna be having fun with Japan and.
Two things are gonna happen. Two things.
Rhodesia will be revived.
Number one, this happened because of two things. Number one, it happened because Israel saw that we were going to pull out of Syria, and they got scared.
No, they got angry.
So then they bombed that air base because they wanted to keep us there, which I can see happening, but it's very improbable because they've been at war since their founding, and they've won every single war. They're not going to need us there. Reason number two is just because literally Syria is a piece of shit. But this is going to go one of two ways. One, they're going to back down because they're going to be like, okay, yeah, we really don't want to go to war with the U.S. These guys will tear our shit up. They've been fighting in Afghanistan. They've been fighting in the sandbox for over 15 years now.
They've been everywhere, dude.
They've been fighting in the sands for 15 years now. They can do it for another 15 years. We couldn't even do it for Russia's going to be like, we couldn't even do it in Afghanistan for a solid 2 years back in the 80s.
Our fucking Gopniks have been training in the snow. They're not prepared for this kind of heat.
They're going to be like, so sand is like snow, right? Sand is the same thing as snow. It's just
don't
brown,
eat
right?
Just don't eat the sand, guys. There's a difference.
Or number two, it's going to be all-out war.
Oh man.
I mean all-out war.
Imagine being the generation where you didn't live in total wars and the generation that had cancer who died in 40 years. But like, amazing. Like, this is all-out war and it's in our generation. I don't think I'm gonna get drafted because of my family stuff. Hammy definitely can't get drafted because of his body type. Brendan probably won't get drafted because of his body type, as in because I have asthma, he has asthma, and Jonathan won't get drafted.
You can get waived for.
You can't.
Probably,
you can't just say you're too skinny to fight. That they don't.
No, but you're a skeleton.
Yeah.
No,
you won't even be able to carry a vest.
They just put you on double rations and say fuck you.
Yeah, well, the whole point of a draft is, number one, they're low on men, and number two, they lower
the standards.
Lower like the acceptance by like 30%.
Yeah.
Something. So I would get drafted, and especially with the whole like allowing more people with mental disabilities in. I was kicked out because of a health issue. It wouldn't have been asthma because you can get a thing for that. It was either hemiplegic migraines or depression. If it was the depression, then I would definitely get drafted. I would get drafted. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And I would write I'm coming to Yifya on my helmet.
Dude, I'm gonna trick out my helmet so hardcore. Like, when it's total war, it doesn't fucking matter. But, like, if you're, like, stationed somewhere, you want to look all pretty and you want to look all, like, mature. But in war, You're just gonna shoot the person in front of you. It doesn't fucking matter. Get a fucking hentai hanging out of your helmet.
I'm just gonna get a Kevlar lined fucking wolf head and giant actual wings that can flap, so I look like a demon. And I'm gonna carry an M249.
You're gonna put a fucking flippy on your head. You know what I'm talking about? Flippies.
Look, if World War III pops up right now and we still don't have mech suits, I quit. Just fuck that shit.
We're not gonna have Evangelions for a while, man. Calm down.
Evangelion is a shitty anime, but
Are you serious? You think that's a shitty anime compared to fucking fuck all? What do you watch?
You know what I'll.
But here's the thing. If it's all out war, I give it about 3 years before I need to draft.
Yeah.
I give it 3 years. Because we have over we have like 1.4 million, if you count all the branches, 1.4 million enlisted servicemen in the military. You got to take out Coast Guard, because that's not going to count for shit. You got to take out Army Reserves and National Guard, at least half of them, because some of them got to stay here. What if they attack us in Alaska? Got to move them to Alaska.
We can't spread ourselves thin like the Nazis. Well, the Nazis didn't spread themselves thin. They like compiled everyone into places that weren't like, because like they needed to spread them out a little bit more like to the rear, because they just fucked themselves. Because like we could have came up from above and just literally taken all of Germany.
The other thing too is Russia is going to have a hard ass time projecting its troops past its own border. If it's not directly adjacent to them like the Ukraine is, they're not going to make it.
It's literally like playing Risk, how Russia's just fucked. Yeah. They like.
I mean,
what is their population? I don't actually know Russia's population.
I mean, let's face it. Sean and I were talking about the USS, or not the USS. I'm an idiot. The Admiral Kunetsov carrier, which has an operational range of 45 days before it has to return to port to rearm and refuel, whereas is it a Nimitz that's the newest, or is it Enterprise class? I think we have something newer than Nimitz, don't we? We have to. The Gerald R. Ford class, that's what we decided to name it.
It's called the Constitution class.
I can't believe we named our most badass aircraft carrier after Gerald R. Ford.
At least it doesn't have a fucking ramp.
Oh, a ski jump? They're called ski jumps, thank you.
I don't care. They look like ramps, like gonna do some skateboarding trips right into the ocean.
Class. I can't. Our most badass carrier is the Gerald R. Ford class, and I think all of its naming convention should just be presidents people forgot about. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the USS William McKinley.
What did Gerald do?
The USS Grover Cleveland, the USS James A. Garfield, the USS Millard Fillmore, USS James
you know what?
Buchanan.
Instead of getting a warehouse for our YouTube channel, we got to get an aircraft carrier.
Yes. This is the USS John Quincy Adams. The USS Zachary Taylor.
Stop.
USS Franklin Pierce.
They did stuff, all right.
No, because like half the presidents in the 1800s. Did you not learn this?
What do you mean?
Are you familiar with the do-nothing presidents?
Yeah, I was making a joke.
I was about to say the do-nothing presidents.
God, ski jumps are so stupid.
USS Rutherford B.
He's. Do you remember the old Japanese aircraft carrier where it was like A double decker, like you could see the second floor.
Oh, we're naming one.
Ugh. Oh no, it's not. There's okay, yeah. I'd call it a second floor. God, it's ugly. Akagia Kraft Keria. Like, what fucking retards?
We're under construction of the USS John F. Kennedy.
Oh no, they're forgettable president.
What if the bridge has a giant hole in it?
Shut up. Just,
and
It's- that
it like goes through like the middle bulkhead and straight into the bottom of the ocean.
What if instead of a designation number, it just has a giant painting of Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah. What if it's like instead of just the red being the bottom to like signify the buoyancy level, it should just be all red.
Getting back to the Kuznetsov, operational range of 45 days, whereas the USS Gerald R. Ford, disgusting name, has an operational range of unlimited, with an endurance of a 50-year service life. So in theory, you could run this thing non-stop for around 50 years. If only the damn sailors didn't need to eat. Actually, if you're out to sea, you can just send boats to drop off supplies and helicopters.
It shouldn't be the case, but yeah. So wait a minute. The Kuznetsov. So it could run for 45 days. Is that just strictly because of the fuel, or is it because it needs to cool down or something?
Well, it needs maintenance.
It needs maintenance. Really?
Pretty much, yeah. Did you watch that We Are the Mighty video?
I didn't know.
In the We Are the Mighty video, she talks about how on the ship they had to shut down 60% of the latrines.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me about that.
For 1,100 sailors on deck, which leaves 25 latrines. For 1,100 sailors, they had to shut down those latrines because the pipes freeze over. Keep in mind, this is in Russia. The pipes freeze over. And the pipes freeze over because their heating doesn't work.
It's like...
So their sailors are told, whenever they get told that they're going to be stationed on the Kuznetsov, to bring coats.
It's... It's like the World War II problem where they didn't have enough rifles for every person. So like, hey, your friend dies of constipation, take his place.
I didn't know about the rifles. I knew ammo. I knew they didn't have enough ammo, so they would only give everybody 1 or 2 clips.
Yeah, it was also rifles.
Oh my gosh.
So they like literally, so the front lines all had rifles, right? Well, like at least 25% behind them didn't. So they were just waiting their turn.
The Kuznetsov also just upgraded to automatic landing. You know, with like the huge cable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They just upgraded to automatic landing last year.
Really? Haven't we had that for the past like 30 years?
Yeah.
Oh god. So, that also means that they're... Oh no, only their most recent planes have that technology too, because you have to outfit your planes with it.
Yeah. Because,
fuck them. They're so fucked.
Because up until the past couple years, the Kuznetsov could not operate with conventional takeoff and landing planes. They could only operate with short takeoff or vertical takeoff and landing aircraft.
Who needs Navy when they have foot soldiers? Looks at population versus U.S. Like, they have 144 million people, and the U.S. has 325 plus. Like, Jesus, Russia. You fucked yourself. Like, you may have some soldiers, but you don't have... Well, actually, our tanks are probably the worst part of our military right now. Our planes...
I don't know.
Our planes are debatable. Like, yeah, we do have class 5 or level 5, whatever. What'd you call them?
Generation 5 stealth fighters.
Gen 5 stealth fighters. We're still working on it though, but like we got a foothold in the F-35 like last year. Like, we finally figured it out.
Great news for you future F-22 pilots out there. They finally fixed the life support system, so you won't black out in the cockpit mid-flight now. So you got that going for you.
Thank God.
I mean, they mostly fixed it. There still have been a couple instances of blacking out in the cockpit, but you know.
We got a comment from Jake Wargo. Don't know him. I don't know when he sent it because I haven't been paying attention. But he asks, "How is World War III close?" Well, what I could tell you right now, Jake, is go ahead and go back a little bit because we basically are done discussing the topic. But if you haven't been paying attention to what's been going on lately, Russia is defending, or is planning on defending, Assad, at least, or Syria, and the United States just bombed them. So yeah.
Here's the deal. Even if this doesn't turn into World War III, whenever you look at history, every decade has had some sort of major war. Or not every decade, I'm an idiot. Every century has had a major war.
Some centuries having more than one.
We're looking at you, the 20th century. But no, if you think about it, we're due for war. We're due for war.
Yeah.
You know, think about all the wars the U.S. was involved in. Wars with, mind you, wars with first world countries.
Mm-hmm.
World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Cold War, and then Desert Storm, Desert Shield. Desert Storm, Desert Shield you can exclude because Iraq wasn't really, or Afghanistan, not really first world. But because the past 15 years, it's just been war with not even these countries, just these rebels and these terrorists that are hiding out in these third world countries.
Oh God.
And this whole thing has been accumulating over the past few years, you know. The US, you know, got mad at Russia for invading Ukraine, but they didn't want to do anything. Syria gassed people as far back as the Obama era, and Obama said that Syria has crossed a line in the sand. What did we do about it? We didn't do anything about it. Tensions have been bubbling and have been rising for several years now. You know, supposedly denuclearization of North Korea will be happening, which I think is part of the reason why China will be fighting with the Russians, is because that's all they wanted. That's why they, you know, were playing pretty good allies with us. That, and they wanted some trading flowing their way, flowing back and forth, more trading flowing back and forth between us. But you know, you've got tensions rising in the South China Sea. You have, you know, this. You have a bunch of civil wars breaking out in Africa. That doesn't really apply too much to the situation going on in Syria, but we're due for war. You know, I know last year everybody said, you know, that that's going to cause World War III. Whenever the gas attacks happened last year, and we hit them with a bunch of Tomahawk cruise missiles. But the way it stands right now is, last year you didn't have China backing the Russians, or claiming that they were going to if war broke out. And then, you know, sending a warship to aid a Russian fleet. And let's be honest, the Russians are going to need all the help they can get. At the time, you didn't have the backing from France and the UK, because France and the UK did not appreciate Donald Trump issuing the order to launch Tomahawk cruise missiles at Syria. Now you have more contenders. You have more people to worry about. You have more people in the fight. Excuse me. So, you know. So even if this doesn't cause World War III, even if it's not called World War III, war with at least one first world country, if not multiple, will be happening probably within the next decade.
Fucking roommate keeps walking in and out, slamming the door.
But I mean, here's the thing to think about. If you just look at based upon what we know that the NATO countries don't appreciate Syria gassing their own people. We know Russia wants to keep a naval base in Syria. We know that China's going to back Russia no matter what. You know, everybody has their own motives. Or at least that's what we know. We don't know what's happening under the radar because we don't know everything. That could mean that war is more likely to happen. That could mean war is less likely to happen.
The Royal Navy's most recent submarine is the Dreadnought class, and it's looking pretty good.
The Royal Navy named their submarine, a class of submarine, Dreadnought class.
Yeah, Dreadnought's more fitting to be a battleship, if anything else.
Well, the definition of a dreadnought is a very large warship.
Exactly.
When the English don't even understand their own language. Oh. A funny. But yeah.
We're gonna have to bring out the USS Missouri for this battle, man.
Dude, I have been all for bringing out battleships since like mid War on Terror.
Mm-hmm. Like if we just updated the range on them, if we could update the mechanics, then that'd be great. They're good, don't get me wrong, but they could be much better.
Well, so like the whole point of the battleship was to knock out other ships quickly, but I mean, you know, they where's it at?
Look up the USS Zumwalt.
Oh, I know about the Zumwalt. The stealth destroyer.
Yeah.
What is it? DDG 3000?
DDG 1000.
DDG 1000.
What does DDG stand for?
Defensive Destroyer Group, I think.
I love how fucking Rolls-Royce designs like super fast cars that are like super luxurious, and they also design fucking turbines for battleships. Oh god, yes, I love this world. It's so interesting.
Yeah, but so
Oh, by the way, the Kuznetsov has been around since the 80s, 1981.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Old.
Amazing. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
so that's what I was gonna say, is like the last time we used a battleship in a war was we used the USS Missouri in Desert Storm, Desert Shield to shell enemy positions. So it's good for something.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for bombardment. And it even says here, you know, in 1991, Missouri participated in Operation Desert Storm, firing 28 Tomahawk missiles and 759 16-inch shells at Iraqi targets along the coast. You got to bring it back. Essentially, it'll be a destroyer without sub-detecting capabilities, but you can carry more bang for your buck for shelling more targets.
Mm-hmm.
They even use the battleships to launch drones. You know, you can outfit the battleship to carry stuff more appropriate for this era, but there aren't a whole lot of navies using the battleship anymore, and that's what will be our wild card. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I mean, like, you got to think, okay, you can launch multiple Tomahawk missiles at them, which will do a lot of damage, but they take time to get there and time to fire, as will 16-inch shells.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just fire, because you got to fire them, you know, one at a time, right?
Yeah.
Or your battleship carries 3 16-inch cannons,
Well, we don't have
9
automatic
barrels total.
We don't have automatic 40mm cannons. What are you talking about?
And then just fire all those. You got 9 shells going down range instead of a couple Tomahawk missiles.
I want to bring back shells. All we do is utilize missiles in Bushmasters. I want my shells back.
Well, here's the thing. That's something you got to account for too. Is we have anti-missile capabilities. Other nations are starting to get those.
Yeah, exactly.
There isn't anything that can really shoot down a shell.
You can't fucking shoot down an enormous projectile flying at massive speeds.
The only things that can are only built for tanks, and that's for like RPGs. They haven't made them for like a huge naval warfare scale yet. So we need to bring back the battleship.
So you know how the USS Indiana is like our new nuclear sub and all that, and you're talking about how nuclear subs are loud, or at least nuclear reactors are.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what the motto is for the USS Indiana?
Silent victors.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Silent. I don't know. I think whenever we designed our nuclear subs, I'm pretty sure they kept, the noise in mind.
I don't know.
They had to have. I mean, there's no way they didn't. Holy shit, is that what I think it is?
Honestly, I'm glad that we're using Tomahawks. Our Tomahawks were set to expire in a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. It's good.
We're just gonna kill them.
We're just gonna kill them.
The USS Donald Cook. Who is Donald Cook? Donald Cook. Donald Cook was a United States Marine Corps officer and a Medal of Honor recipient. Huh. Earned a Medal of Honor and 2 Purple Hearts. Impressive. Very nice.
I hate the stealth design. Is like the new stealth design for our ships like even do they work? Does it work?
Oh, you're talking about the Zumwalt?
Yeah, the Zumwalt.
I like how we built the Zumwalt. Because if you look at the Wikipedia page, it says preceded by the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. Succeeded by Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, Flight 3.
Shit.
They were like, yeah, this fucking sucks. What do we do?
They built it. It's all said and done. It's in the water. It just fucking sinks. You built it upside down.
Somebody said, man, I remember playing those cool U.S. Navy games on the Commodore 64. Let's make this shit polygonal.
Oh my god, it's a flat bottom. Interesting.
Because it's stealth. It's for use in the Arctic, so it looks like an iceberg.
This is what's gonna defend Alaska. We can just blow up our own bases right now, because this is gonna be our ace in the hole.
When you accidentally launch a Tomahawk cruise missile at your own base.
It's gonna be the best.
Succeeded by so the Arleigh Burke class destroyer Flight 3 that we just made is already succeeded by a future surface combatant. What is a future surface combatant?
I don't know. I want to be on a battleship when the engines turn on.
Your little nuts will start quaking.
They're gonna be quaking. Yeah! Yeah, I'd love to experience that. God, I know the Bushmasters are good, right? But like looking at them on those enormous ships, they just look like fucking puny fucking things. Like we were lying.
Oh, okay. So future surface combatant was slang for the next generation cruiser program. Which, can you guess what that resulted in?
What?
The Zumwalt.
Great.
And then they were like, so it's almost like they're in limbo and they can't decide if they want the Zumwalt or the Arleigh Burke.
So wait, the Zumwalt is a destroyer, but it was built with cruiser in mind?
Pretty much.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is that fast for a boat? 33.5 knots?
I don't know.
That's actually, well, I mean, for a big boat, I guess that's kind of fast.
But yeah.
So wait, what is the exact? Okay, the exact armament is. Wait.
Of the Zumwalt or the Arleigh Burke?
The Zumwalt, 20 Mark 57 VLS modules. What the hell is a Mark 57?
I don't know, but Arleigh Burke.
Oh shit! Oh, it's missile pods. 57 fucking missile pods. Or 20 fucking missile pods, not 57.
How many does each missile pod hold? Arleigh Burke holds over 90 missiles.
It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like there's 6 per missile pod.
So 120.
Yeah, around there. Alright, so that 20 VLS modules, 4 vertical launch cells in each module. Oh, okay, so 4. It says it right on the website, even though it looked like 6. So 80 cells total. Each cell can hold 1 or more missiles depending on the size of the missile, including the RIM-66 Standard or the RIM-162 Evolved Sea Sparrow. Let's take a peek at that. Oh, very nice.
So that one's for anti-air.
Mm-hmm.
The Sea Sparrow's anti-air.
BGM 109 Tomahawk.
Nice.
God, I've never actually seen a Tomahawk missile fly. I just know what it looks like. Or the RUM 139 VL Azrock. That thing's fucking huge. The fuck is that used for? This began in 1983. Develop ship launch anti-submarine missile. Oh shit. Alright. Alright, you'll have to show me what you're working with. And 2, advanced gun system. Wow, that's what it's called. Okay. They're 155 millimeter guns, apparently. The pictures don't do it justice. What is it? 155? Is that what it was? Yeah. Woof.
I still like the Trident 2 missile. The Trident 2 missile can hold up is one missile that can hold up to 12. So they split apart. They're a MIRV, and they can be nuclear.
God, that is such a lackluster name for such. Oh, I'm not talking about yours. I'm talking about the guns on the thing. So wait, what is it called?
Look up UGM 133 Trident 2.
Whoops. It's one fat boy.
Well, that's because one missile is technically 12 missiles. Because it's a MIRV, so one missile
Ooh.
splits into 12 missiles. And you can tell those other missiles on the inside to target multiple locations.
That's nice. Holy shit.
And our Ohio-class submarine carries 24 of them.
Yeah, look at the size of those fuckers.
So, like, we have 14 Ohio-class submarines. So 14 times 12 times 24, 4,032 missiles. And I believe that they're nuclear capable, but I'm not sure. Need to be hopping off here soon.
Russia be like. But yeah, so those little tiny guns, or at least the ones that look like super tiny on the Zumwalt, I didn't know they were 155 millimeter. That's crazy. 155 millimeter, and okay, the reason I call it lackluster is because it's called Advanced Gun System. Why couldn't they come up with a cool ass name like Howitzer or something?
I didn't even know that they had guns on the Zumwalt.
Yeah, it's those little pyramid things on the front.
You're shitting me. So
Yeah.
they probably open up.
Yeah, they're hidden. They're like to like guard it so they don't get shot.
Stupid.
No, but they're fucking enormous.
They probably do it just like how the F-35 stores all of its missiles, or the F-22 too.
Yeah. It's like it's like under platforms.
They carry 30 millimeter ones too. Apparently, the Zumwalt carries 30 millimeters. Bushmaster chain gun.
Oh yeah. Oh, those are also hidden, by the way. Like here. Let me show you. So whenever
it's that tiny ass one on the front, isn't it? You see that tiny little triangle?
Hold on. Oh,
It's a tiny one, isn't it?
no. Here, look what I sent you in Discord. So they come out of the floor.
Oh, that is weird.
At least that's what it looks like. Yeah, that'd be.
Is that a picture straight from the Zumwalt?
I think so. Yeah.
Because I don't see any chain on the Zumwalt or anything.
Oh, maybe it isn't then. It's so hard to figure this out.
Zumwalt looks like somebody just built something out of Lego bricks.
Exactly. It's kind of cool they have a helipad there, so if you want, like,
If you want to break our RCS, then just land a helicopter on it, and now we're not stealth anymore, and you can detect us. We made the world's first submergible destroyer with underwater cannons.
So wait, what are the size of the cannons on like old battleships?
16-inch, so they're not measured in millimeter. They're measured in inches.
Faggots. Oh god, when did we switch to the metric system? No! No, Jesus. Typed in 16-inch expecting cannons and I got a fucking dildo.
Very nice.
God, that thing is fucking amazing. Why did we go to the advanced gun system when we had these fuckers? Proprietary! I don't care! It worked! God, imagine going up against the United States in a war. Like, we would, like, imagine having to build your own
That was my
battleship.
fault. That was
What?
my fault. I accidentally closed out of Discord.
Oh, it's alright. Imagine going to war with the United States. Like, imagine having to build your own battleship. Where would you start? You wouldn't. You'd just be dead.
Russian engineers be like, I downloaded these from the internet. I typed in 16-inch and all I got was hair. How'd you get a dildo?
There's like one picture of a dildo.
Oh, I see it. It's on Amazon.com. I didn't know you could buy shit from. I didn't know you could buy dildos from Amazon.
Buy anything from Amazon, man.
Shit, I'm gonna have to. That way it won't show up Bad Dragon on my.
All right.
Like for life, like I'm not even kidding. You buy something from a sex shop, it shows up the name of the sex shop on your bank statement. It's for like the rest of your life. You buy something from Amazon, it'll just say Amazon. I gotta go shopping after this stream.
All right. Speaking of which, we hope you enjoyed our stream. All one of you that watched it, and everyone who's gonna watch it later on, because this is like super late at night, and people are probably gonna watch it. Maybe, maybe not. But anyways, happy World War III. Good luck, America. Any closing?
They don't need luck. We've got God on our side.
We've got the Jews on our side.
I have the power of God.
I have the power of God. Yeah, we got Jews on our side, man, and we have people who run away on our side. We have people who support peace trucks on our side. All right, we're about to remove all of the kebabs. Goodbye. Good night, all.